Okay. All right. Now, something in some of the articles and the recent things that I've read about your experiences, you've really gotten into public diplomacy. It seems to be a bit of a passion for you. Now, you wrote, and I don't remember where I read this, that you believed it was a huge mistake when the U.S. government dissolved the USIA, the United States Information Agency, and that happened in '99.
Right. Excuse me.
And then it spread its responsibilities around to other functions. And then it slashed the budgets of those entities. Now, Arthur Page worked with 3 presidents during the times of rapid change in the world, and he advised military leaders on how to communicate with their constituencies. So can you talk a little bit about how Page principles are applicable to the realm of public diplomacy?
Well, just go down the principles. Public relations should be, you should conduct it as if the life of your business was dependent upon it. You should conduct public relations for America like America's life is dependent upon it. You have to deal with the truth, you have to have fun in the way you're doing it. Oh, they all apply. With USIA, it was like a large corporation eliminated the PR department and cut the budget. I mean, and who's going to tell your story? Every little division is going to tell, no, it isn't going to work that way. And that's what's happened to the U.S. government. Outside of the big Defense Department, State Department, and the administrative, political, they're all politically governed activities. There's no one agency that's there sitting there telling the American story, the U.S. story like it used to. And USIA and Voice of America and all those tools were very instrumental in ending the Cold War. And we have a even greater challenge today in the war of ideas with the rest of the world, the Islamic world in particular, where there's ideas that are absolutely shooting at us, and we don't have an adequate response or defense that's unified and coherent. And I think that's a big mistake, and I don't understand why our administrations don't get it. It's so simple at one level. I assume it was all eliminated because of some set of politics that wanted to get rid of USIA, and but the State Department and Karen Hughes is well-meaning, and they're doing some, they're interesting things, but it's still very splintered and not cohesive enough, and not enough of a partnership yet with the private sector. And that's what we were trying to do with the cooperative thing we did with the State Department, is call attention to all the terrific things the private sector is doing around the world, and put a spotlight on it and encourage more of it. And the report we published had 11 steps, practical steps companies could take to either emphasize what they're doing already or to step up and do some new things that can help in this cause of building the reputation, rebuilding the reputation of America around the world.
I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit more about that. We've got a crisis of trust, obviously, in the United States. And you've mentioned the PR Coalition working with the State Department and what you're trying to do with American businesses. Can you take just a minute and tell me what the PR Coalition is all about?
Okay. The PR Coalition is a loosely knit group of 20-some organizations such as Arthur Page, the Public Relations Society of America, all public relations, public affairs oriented organizations representing about 50,000 professionals in the U.S. I helped organize it when I was president of Arthur Page, because what we saw was all these various organizations doing similar things with no crossover, no interplay, no cooperative effort. So the first thing was just to get together to see what we were all doing, to see if there's any common ground to work on. And so out of that came a number of initiatives on 2 or 3 of these organizations working together, and that was positive. But we decided we wanted to identify key issues that we could work as a coalition and conduct what we called summit meetings. And we did one on corporate trust, which was 5 years ago, I think it was. Then 4 years ago was one on diversity in the industry, and the last one we did was last year on public diplomacy. And what it does, it serves as a catalyst. The PR Coalition has no staff, no budget. It's sort of myself and a bunch of guys who call men and women who get together now and then, represent these organizations. The theory is we do these summits and the organizations themselves take all of that material and disseminate it. And theoretically, 50,000 professionals in the U.S. have received materials coming out of the PR Coalition efforts through their own organizations. In addition, with the State Department cooperation, they've disseminated our report all over the world, certainly throughout their own diplomatic corps. And last week, the final letter went out, a joint letter from Karen Hughes and myself, to the 1,000 CEOs heading the 1,000 best companies in the U.S. Fortune list. So that was just done, and it's urging companies to take a look at this. It's a small step. I mean, public policy is going to be the big factor in our reputation around the world. But as long as business is doing as well as we do around the world, we ought to take some credit for it, and that's the theory behind it.
Must be exciting work.
It is. It is. It's very hard because you can't see. You know, it's not like changing Accenture name on 0101 and see this huge success. Okay, it's just like a dripping faucet. It takes so long to make progress.